Entries in the community broadcast category are restricted to our smaller Canadian over-the-air or online broadcasters and the journalism of local or regional interest they produce. Eligible entries would have aired on local network stations, independent stations, and online broadcasters' local newscasts. There are 3 finalists in this category. From CBC News Vancouver, The Frontline of Fentanyl, submitted by Natalie Clancy, Eric Rankin, Manjula Dufresne, Yvette Brend, and Justin McElroy. The entry starts with riding along with Vancouver's first responders as they watch fentanyl addicts overdose, some of whose lives they saved, and some not.
Staff asked us to stay outside while they get to work.
Pulse is 100.
Got more Narcan?
So we walked in and the patient was barely breathing and his oxygen saturation was down to 60%, and he had taken some fentanyl and he was told it was stronger fentanyl and a lot of people were overdosing.
But this patient was not responding to Narcan or painful stimulation.
So the basic ones are a sternal rub, a knuckle in the rib cage, a trap squeeze, or rubbing the pen on the outside of the nail. All of them are extremely painful, and I think we were doing 3 of them to the guy at once for about a 5 to 10 minute period, and he didn't even move.
Finally, he grunts back to life.
Oh, we got that. There it is. What's up? You overdosed. You gotta stay up. Stay awake. Keep those eyes open.
I'm not joking. You took a ton of Narcan.
But its punch comes from meeting Katie, and then seeing the team's work showing political response and whether enough resources are available to address this emergent need. From CBC Radio 1 in Edmonton, the entry Fort McMurray Strong by James Evans. The timeline of how fire overtook this Alberta community is, at this point, well known. How does our public broadcaster respond and reply to this breaking news event? You start by suspending national programming, staffing your radio broadcast booth with competent people, and doing your best to pass along what listeners, even if they're hours away from where your staff members are, need to know.
Airbag site, and we have a lodge there as well that we're going to be opening up in the next hour to try to house a few more people.
Okay, I'd like you to go over that information because I know people are listening who are in their vehicles and they might not have caught all of that. In fact, I didn't catch all of it. So Horizon North, who needs to head there?
So if residents are on Highway 63 and they're south of the Suncor overpass, like south of base...
Shell Canada says it will open Albion Village, which is 85 kilometres north of Fort McMurray, to all resident evacuees. The Fort McKay First Nation is also opening camps to evacuees. And they tell us that evacuees are welcome to camp there. AFD Petroleum contacted us and they said, well, supplies last. They'll be offering free gas if you can make it to their camp, which is on Highway 63 south of Fort McMurray. If you're running low on fuel and you're heading south, the Tempo and the Petro-Canada have lots of fuel available.
The third entry in this category comes from CTV News in Kitchener, Ontario. Unregistered Nurse by Abigail Beeman. Beeman received a tip that an employee at a seniors facility in nearby Brant County wasn't who she had portrayed herself as. Laura Erskine claimed to be a registered nurse. She had graduated from a local nursing college, but hadn't completed the process to become a fully registered nurse. The work done by this journalist led to the woman's dismissal from her job. Beyond that, it left startling questions unanswered by those who accredit nurses in Ontario.
Park Lane Terrace now admits she was never qualified to do the job.
It made me angry that, 2 years she's been a nurse, but didn't have the documentation.
Her biggest concern is someone who wasn't qualified was handing out medication to people who trusted her. The mandate of the college includes protecting the public. More troubling, the nurse you heard from in this story says she called the college about Erskine in 2014. When we asked whether the college had really known about this problem for 2 years with no action, we got no answer.